Hi everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, my name is Jade and this is Andy. We're going to be the interpreters for today.
Hola, buenas tardes, me llamo Ade y esto es Adi y vamos a ser los intérpretes de hoy.
First of all, we want to thank the organizers for creating a bilingual space. And we're going to go over a couple of guidelines so you can help us make a bilingual space because this is not just our job, but everybody in this space.
Primeramente queremos agradecerle a los organizadores de este evento que están creando un espacio bilingüe y les queremos compartir unas reglas para ayudarnos a crear un espacio bilingüe para todos.
Sometimes when we show up to a space, we speak like this because we're shy or we're tired because we worked all day. And we're going to ask everybody, please speak up. So if you see us do this, could you do it with us, please? If you see this, do it so the person speaking knows speak up so we can interpret.
A veces llegamos, estamos un poquito calladitos, estresados, no tenemos... Y vamos a querer que alcen el voz. Vamos a usar esta señal para que alcen el voz. Por favor, si ven esta señal, alcen la voz. Más fuerte.
And sometimes we get super, super excited, especially when we're reckless and we want to cram a hole into it. We need you to please slow down, otherwise we cannot understand and interpret. So if you see us do this, please do it to let the person know slow down. Please.
A veces llegamos, estamos hablando bien rápido y tenemos que hablar más lento. Si ven esta señal, queremos que hablen más despacito, más lento para que podamos interpretar todas las palabras que dicen.
Lastly, don't suffer in silence. If your equipment doesn't work or you need any other support, go to the person that does not have the mic and we will gladly help you.
También no sufren en silencio si tienen alguna pregunta o problema. Por favor, consiguen el intérprete que no está en el micrófono y nos podemos ayudar. Gracias.
Thank you.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight last week? Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly slain. And the rockets reflect the bombs bursting
Thank you for that. Good evening to each of you. My name is Alexander Johnson. I have the privilege of serving as the executive pastor at Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church and the chair of the Independent Police Oversight Board for the City of Houston. Will you help me first and foremost give thanks to our host, the Greater St. Matthew's Church, and their pastor, Pastor Gus Booker, who is here, and he's going to come now and open up the word of prayer.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Are y'all excited to be here? Don't fool me now. You excited to be here? All right. They call me a cheerleading preacher, so that's all right. That's all right. I get excited. But we're excited that you came tonight. Greater St. Matthew came to our haven here in South Park. How many know about South Park? South Park. We've been here and we're just excited. What we do, I know we don't have the multi-purpose center, this and that, but we open our doors for anything that's going to help serve our community. So we're excited about what's happening. And as we usually say, I don't care if you're from the Shaking Acres, at Tascasino, Almo, the Dirty Ford, the Fifth Ward, wherever you come, we feel it's worth the trip to the Saint. So we thank you for coming. We'd like to thank, just before we begin, we'd like to thank the legendary Acres Home Barber College, the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Houston Metropolitan Chapter, the Texas Federation for the People Foundation. I'd like to thank some people. First of all, Charlotte Williams, she sung that song, y'all. I thought I was in church service. Y'all give her a hand. Girl, you better sing it. I want to thank Shantae, Dorothy Wagner, God bless you, Layla, and Tandy. Y'all thank them, give them a hand. And also, y'all give our moderator for this evening, AJ, my fraternity brother, and also minister of God. Will y'all give him a hand? Y'all can do better than that. Give him a hand. Y'all encourage him as he comes forward. So we're excited about tonight and what you're doing, and we want to pray. We feel that prayer is always in order for what we do tonight. We're excited, and we're just going to move forward. Let's bow our heads. Most gracious Master, Lord, we thank you for who you are. Because of who you are, we give you glory, we give you the praise, Lord. We thank you for allowing us to be here, Lord. We have so many people who have come forward in our race and other places, come from the fields to the boardroom, and from the court to the Cadillac. Lord, you have brought us a mighty long way. And we celebrated the Black History Month. But we thank you for this program tonight. We thank you for the community that's surrounding. And we pray that information be given, that the uplifting of your kingdom can be done, that they get information. And we thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight so they can find out information and ask questions. So we ask you that you bless the moderator as he moves forward. We ask you that you bless the candidates and give them memory of what they have to do. But most of all, we thank you for the people who have come, Lord. We ask you that everything be done as we say in church, everything be done decent and in order, and everything be civil in your house. And we know that there will be a lot of information given out. So we're just going to ask you that you bless this program this evening, and we know that everything is going to be as you have it. These blessings we pray in your perfect, precious name. Amen. Amen. We thank you again for coming out. We got Dr. Henry Price who's going to come out and give the welcome. Y'all give him a hand as he comes forward.
I'd like to say, first of all, good evening. I am Dr. Henry Price, the proud pastor of First Missionary Baptist Church, the president of Texas Federation of the People, and the board treasurer of Sunnyside Community Redevelopment Organization. And before I welcome you, I want to thank all of you for coming out. Why don't you give yourself a hand just for being here? Amen. As we navigate through times of change and growth, the power of community has never been more evident. In the spirit of unity and progress, we are thrilled to extend a warm invitation to you, our valued community members, for an uplifting and informative panel discussion featuring esteemed candidates for District Attorney, Harris County Sheriff, and Precinct 7 Constable. This special event represents a unique opportunity to engage directly with those who aspire to lead and protect our community. It's a moment to share your voice, your concerns, your aspirations, contributing to a dialogue that shapes the future of Harris County and Precinct 7. So I want to say you're welcome and enjoy the evening.
Yes, you give before we sit down, give the candidates one more hand for what we have. We thank you. Anything you need, we have the restroom, and we may leave, but please make yourself at home. We have a saying here, we love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Give our moderator a hand as he comes back.
Well, all right. I do want to briefly introduce each of these who is before us, and we'll figure out how I can keep this on. I want to introduce each of these who is before us today, and we look forward to hearing from this. We have, in no particular order, District Attorney Kim Ogg, who is with us, and we thank God for her presence among us. Candidates for Constable are with us, Michael Coleman, not with us. Jerry Hicks, James Smokey Phillips, Virgil Ratliff for, sheriff candidates are with us, and they are the persons of Virgil Ratliff, Joe Inocencio, and Dana Wolf. Each of them will now be provided 2 minutes to introduce themselves so that we have some semblance of order. We'll just go straight down the line. You can give to us your opening remarks, and please adhere to our 2-minute time period. There is a timekeeper who will assist us if we get intoxicated by the microphone.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dana Wolf, and I am a candidate for Harris County Sheriff. I am the only candidate. Is it on?
It's on.
So I am the only candidate that has actually worked at the Harris County Sheriff's Office. I have 32 years of law enforcement experience, in which 26 and a half years was spent at the Harris County Sheriff's Office. I am also worked in 3 different capacities in the Harris County Jail. The first capacity I worked is the entry level, which is detention officer, deputy, and sergeant. As a deputy, I worked inside the jail. I worked in the East Side in the Community Services Division, where I brought programs to McNair, Barrett. I also worked Sheldon area, Channel View, North Shore. I worked along with Mike Perry and brought in mentoring programs and the outreach program, which is based on the Scare Straight program. As a sergeant, I am the only African American female that has held the title of Public Information Officer. I was assigned to the Mental Health Division. I also been assigned to the floors of the jail and the felony court. I'm currently employed with Precinct 1, in which I'm a supervisor in the downtown courthouse complex, in which I still work and collaborate with the sheriff's office. I'm here because I was asked to run because they want me to come back home and help get that jail straight, because I'm the one that has that experience. So, vote for me, Dana Wolf, for Harris County Sheriff.
Good evening. I am Virgil Rochelle Ratliff. I'm going to say I'm number 1 on the ballot for Harris County Sheriff. But I do want to thank all of the candidates, other than Gary, for coming to my home. This is where I was raised. This is my church. This is where I learned that I'm the head and not the tail. This is where I learned that I'm above and not beneath. This is where I learned that I am more than a conqueror in Christ Jesus. So anybody that's here that know anything about me, they know about my integrity, and they know where I came from and who I came by. So I just want to say that and put that on the table, and want to thank all of the candidates for coming into my house today. Right, Pastor Booker? But I want to talk to you a little bit about myself. I want to bring my 40 years of law enforcement experience to run for Harris County Sheriff. I want to mitigate crime, deter recidivism, arrest violent offenders, and take back care, control, and custody of the Harris County Jail. Now, if you ask me, and I'm sure later on we'll dwell into how I intend to do that along with the rest of the candidates. But I want to tell you that I'm passionate and that I plan to lead with intentionality. And I am excited. Like my pastor said, I'm standing on the tiptoes of anticipation to become your next sheriff of Harris County.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joe Simpson. I'm running for Harris County Sheriff. To give you a little bit of my background, I too worked at Harris County Jail. I started as a jailer in 1980. Worked there for 2 years. In 1982, I went to the Houston Police Department and spent 33 years there. I went up the ranks. I became a sergeant, became a chief of staff for the number 2 guy under Chief Bradford. Became a lieutenant. I was a lieutenant for the last 10 years of my career in HPD, retiring in 2014. I worked in the narcotics division for 10 years. In 2017, I was asked by Honorable Karen Ogg to be her assistant chief investigator of the Special Crimes Bureau. I worked for her for 3 years, 3 months, before I finally retired in 2020. I've been retired for 4 years, been traveling around the world with my wife. We love it. Retirement is America's dream. But I can tell you another America's dream is to be free from human and civil rights violations, especially when you're under the care, custody, and control of your government. And folks, the sheriff is your government. When a sheriff gets elected, he wears two hats. Two hats. One of them is police chief. Police chief over public safety, comes with all the bells and whistles. Everyone loves that job. The second hat is to be a warden of your Harris County Jail. Folks, your incumbent sheriff has failed. There is a custom and practice of torment and punishment in the Harris County Jail, where beatings occur every day. It is a way of life. It is accepted by the staff, by the upper staff, and by the sheriff himself. We need to stop this. We need to stop the 67 deaths in the last 3 years. There were 53 executions nationwide. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Kim Ogg. I'm here. Well, I got one, but we'll try. I'm Kim Ogg. I am your Harris County District Attorney, and I have been for 7 years. I'm a native Houstonian. I've lived all over Houston, including the East End for 14 years, Telephone Road when I was growing up, and the Heights right now. I know our city because I've lived in it every day of my life, but for a short exchange in school. As your district attorney, I am in charge of 2 things: keeping the process fair and trying to help keep you safe. The way we've done that is 2 ways. We have created many programs to help people who are mentally ill, who are juveniles, or who are suffering from substance abuse disorder to get around the system or through it without making their record worse. We've done that for more than 40,000 people in the last 7 years. But we have a jail right now full of many violent offenders. That's not fair to them, and that's not fair to the crime victims' families who are waiting for justice. So we've prioritized violent crime, meaning we're looking at the highest risk offenders, those who create the most danger for you in the community and for others in the jail. And our priority is trying them. We've got 350 lawyers. I run the biggest law firm in the Southwest that's public, and we're a law enforcement agency. So we work side by side with other public officials all day long, 365 days a year, because we're part of a system. We don't control all of that system, but the part that I'm responsible for, making sure that our lawyers are ethical, making sure that the evidence gets to the defense, and making sure that the convictions, if we get them, are sound. That's the job you need from your district attorney. Come on. We got one.
Is it on? I'm kind of new to technology these days. Hey, Captain, how y'all doing?
All right.
My name is Captain Smokey Phillips. I am the senior captain at Precinct 7 under the extraordinary leadership of Constable May Walker. A difference here with me. I started my career out here in 1983 under then Constable A.B. Chambers. I served as a deputy to a sergeant to a lieutenant. And now, again, I've been Constable Walker for the last 18 years as her administrative captain now. And I'll tell you this, America is a society where you have the right to choose your leaders. Everybody in this room has the right to choose their leaders. And you want to choose a leader that has brought meaningful services to your community. It's a reason it's a reason why I am supported by every elected official in a lot of church members, including Marcus Cobley, Pastor Lewis, and many more. It's a reason for that. Because I brought meaningful services out here to this community that was underserved and underprivileged. And I will compete. Captain Smokey Phillips, over 300 back. Thank you so much. Is that it? My name is Michael Coleman. I'm a native Houston, born and raised right here in Houston, Texas. Grew up South Park, 3rd Ward, graduated from Jack Yates High School, graduated from San Diego State University with my bachelor's, graduated from Martin University with my master's, graduated from the FBI Academy. Okay? Been in law enforcement for 36 years. 36 years. I did 30 years with Harris County Precinct 5, which is one of the largest in the nation, not the state of Texas, but in the nation. So I've been commander over every division named at Constable Department. So do I know how to lead? Yes, I do. This is my 3rd time running for Constable for this position. I'm running for a reason. I'm passionate for my community. It is time for a change the way we do business in our community. And sometimes you have to step out somewhere to realize what you're not getting and come back and realize it's totally different on the other side. And it's something we're selling for crumbs. We need the whole bread. And we have to stop selling and start electing officials with honor, integrity, and for the community. That is so important. We have to start doing it. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming to my church meeting. My name is Gary Hicks, and I'm on the Precinct 7 Council. I understand that some people have been endorsed by certain people, but I've been endorsed by the only. I've been endorsed by organizations, HPD's union, HPD's Afro American Union. I can't tell you that I've just been endorsed by people's friends that they hang out with. It is time for a change. We need to get into some different leadership. We need to get into some community policing. We need to get into partnership with the police departments. I have worked with every last one of those people. I have been out here myself in the streets, in the ditches, policing. I'm from here, and we need to get into training our people how to police, training our people how to treat people. Again, I've been here in the Northern Valley, and I've been endorsed by organizations, not by friends.
Thank you to all of the candidates. We will have 3 rounds of questions that are moderated and that have been submitted by our hosts. The first round of questions is for each of the candidates, and then there are specific questions for each office that is being sought. We want to thereafter solicit questions from the audience, and each of you should have note cards that you can make those available to me. First question, again, is for each of you. The context for the question reads, Governor Abbott recently signed SB 4 into law, which authorizes untrained police officers to engage in immigration enforcement, allowing police to detain people suspected of being non-U.S. citizens and entering or attempting to enter Texas from Mexico or another country without authorization. Police may charge individuals with a new state crime or illegal entry to Texas, punishable by up to 6 months in jail. The new law also authorizes judges to order individuals deported under certain circumstances. Additionally, SB 4 would criminalize providing transportation to an undocumented person in Texas. The law would implement a 10-year mandatory minimum penalty for those found guilty. We will start with our district attorney. If re-elected as district attorney, how will you protect immigrant communities and their loved ones from SB 4's mandatory minimum and illegal entry?
I think the important thing that I want you all to know is that I'm running for people, not against people. And so the policies of our office when it comes to immigration are simply not to ask, because when it comes to crime victims, it doesn't matter if they're from this country or not. It doesn't matter what religion you are. Everybody on United States soil should be protected by our Constitution. And that's how we treat people. We do not have the right as one elected official to tell the sheriff what he can and cannot do. But I can tell you as your district attorney, we employ immigration status neutral policies in everything we do. It's just not important to people's actions. If they're charged with murder, they either kill somebody or they didn't. If they're charged with fraud, same thing, but their immigration status should never come into the picture. This bill is part of a lot of mandatory bills that were pushed by Republicans to force law enforcement in urban areas to adopt more conservative policies. They really can't force them to do that, but they can make it very unpleasant for us if we state public policies or write written policies that contradict their law. So it puts us in a vice grip with you. We're trying to represent you and what you want, and they're trying to make us do or not do something. What I would tell you is I'm running for the people, not for the state government's dictatorial policies about how we're supposed to treat people.
For these rounds of questions, I will note that the form has asked that we limit our responses to 90 seconds so that we can get through all of these and get to the audience questions. I will go to our constable candidates, and I'll start with Ms. Coleman. What is your response? How, if elected, will you, as the next constable of Precinct 7, protect immigrant communities and their loved ones from SB 4's mandatory minimum and illegal entry?
Well, as far as law enforcement, if you're not committing a crime, you don't need to stop them. So that stops everything right there. You can be Hispanic, Black, whatever color you may be, but if you haven't committed a crime, there's no reason you should be stopped for it. And really, that's the bottom line. Unless you committed a crime, you shouldn't be stopped.
Same question, Chase.
I truly agree with the same thing. If not doing a crime, you shouldn't be stopped for it. But I can't see asking you, are you legal or not? Not every, I've worked these streets for many years, and you don't know who's legal and who's not. Everybody don't carry immigration papers. Everybody don't carry their driver's license. So I'm not going to ask you if you're legal. If you've done a crime, let's handle it. If you didn't do a crime, go your merry way.
Good question. SB 4 was a tough law against immigrants in the South Carolina. And local law enforcement should not get involved in policing what the federal government should do. Secondly, when I wrote the Victim Services Crime Grant, I took it granted that if we did enforce the SB4, how many crimes will occur in the immigrant community that's not reported to the police? It'll be a lot. You'll have sexual assaults occurring, you'll have robberies occurring, and those immigrants will not have no way to report it because they're afraid that local law enforcement will put them in jail. And we ain't it. That's the federal government's job. It's not our job.
Same question will be asked of our candidates for Harris County Sheriff. Mr. Inocencio, same question.
I have full faith that the lawsuit by the DOJ restricting local law enforcement and enforcing federal law will succeed. If it does not, I'm going to echo Mayor Whitmire's statement. HPD will not enforce SB4 under my watch as Harris County Sheriff. Harris County Sheriff's Department will not enforce SB4. We are not federal agents. Now, I will go with the district attorney, the county attorney, the sheriff's department attorney, and we're going to come up with a plan of action to fight this. But I can assure you, we're not going to enforce it. It takes a long time to build trust in the minority communities, and it only takes one instant of something like this, or police brutality, to tear it down. As sheriff, we're not going to be enforcing SB4. I'm telling you that.
As a law enforcement officer, I've always exercised my oath of office with compassion and humility, and certainly that's something that I would always encourage in leadership. But one of the things that I want to pick back on what everyone else has said, and I know it's redundant because what all of us here are for the people. DA all talked about being for the people, and as law enforcement officers, we arrest for probable cause, reasonable suspicion, and that does not, the word suspect, that we suspect of being illegal immigrants, it does not fall in our purview of arrest. So, as others have said, when a crime is committed, we don't care who commits it. We will act as law enforcement officers. But when we talk about SB4, then there's going to be, I'm hoping that there's a whole lot of discussion, and I'm hoping that we will all sit down at a table and remove egos and attitudes and come to a resolve on how we will handle this going forward.
On this particular issue, is before, this is one reason why it's so important is Harris County citizens or citizens period, use your right to vote. Things like this. And I like to do is echo what the other candidates have said. Because first of all, it's gotta be probable cause. We have to, whenever there's a crime that has been allegedly committed, we have to take those facts and pass about the DA in the beginning. So she just said, I'm not enforcing that. So I'm gonna echo that. We're not enforcing that. I mean, we got other things going on in this community. We gotta have our jails full with people who have committed crimes. So again, this is a prime example why we need to go out and vote and know what we're voting for.
Dear y'all, this next question is for you. In light of recent changes in federal and state legislation related to abortion, what measures is the Harris County District Attorney's Office taking or willing to take to safeguard against the criminalization of healthcare providers and people seeking reproductive health services? How will you and your office balance the enforcement of law with the need to protect individual rights to access healthcare?
You know, the candidates for sheriff talk about the oath we take, and that is to uphold the Constitution, the laws of the state, and the laws of the United States. But we're supposed to do it with discretion, meaning if the evidence is not there, if law enforcement doesn't present a case, we don't just make up cases And so the idea that law enforcement would start investigating women who were having abortion would be up to the law enforcement chiefs. Our chief, Troy Center, has made it the lowest priority. And so what we did is we said, with police making it the lowest priority, that would be our lowest priority. If we say, as elected DAs, we will not enforce, you fill in the blank, abortion laws, immigration laws, then we can be removed by a simple petition, which would allow Governor Abbott to appoint a pro-life DA and endanger the life of every woman that you know, every woman that's here, every woman that I know. So this is a trap for Democrats who believe that abortion should be a woman's choice. Me too, I'm a woman. But do not fall for an opponent who says, I will protect your rights. The minute he says, I will not enforce the law, you get a Republican DA.
To our constable candidates, Harris County has one of the largest jail populations in the country and the largest in Texas. If elected, will you use the cite and release, will you increase rather the use of cite and release for qualified incidents to reduce jailing and incarceration rates? We'll start with Coleman.
Actually, yes, I would. There are a lot of programs where you don't have to arrest. You have diversion programs. You got first offense or just take them, let them sober up, and then they'll handle it from there. You don't have to take everybody to jail. You have a lot of mental health in this area. You don't have to take them to jail. You take them to get help. It's not all about arresting someone. How about let's help the people we're supposed to serve that we put in office? Yes. So we have to stop thinking arrest and thinking help. Let's give these people help. You don't know what the people are going through. You don't know the kind of day they had, the night they had, family members passed. You don't know. How about just give them help? Thank you.
You know, years ago, we looked at that program that Ms. Ogden brought in, this diversion program, because we saw the need of the unbalance of each community, the black and brown community, underserved, underprivileged communities, and why these records were so high. So we looked at that program, I think, years ago, and we thought about what can we do to not criminalize young folks. If they have bosses of marijuana, not to criminalize. It's a person with a good record. So we looked at that, and the idea came forward that we're going to do a diversion program, which was good. Which was good to the sense that you compared the Spring, Texas to Sunnyside, the rest was way out balance when it came to low marijuana usage. The rest was way out balance. You say, how did this happen? Was the white cloud putting blacks in jail? Was the Hispanic or whatever? We were trying to figure it out. So it came down to balance for everybody. Every neighborhood had the same ethical treatment when it came to diversions. And it worked well. It worked very well. That imbalance that I saw in Spring, Texas, and Cypress came down a whole lot. And it helped a lot of our black and brown kids that run the communities today and push themselves.
Thank you for that question. They've been doing this for the longest as far as citing people because they don't want to overflow the jail. Now, if you're intoxicated, we have diversion. We can't just cite you and let you go. Because what's going to happen, you're going to go out there and you're going to get in some type of accident, or you're going to get hurt. So if you're intoxicated, we're going to take you to diversion. But we're not going to put you in jail. On traffic violations, you're going to get cited and then lose. So we're not going to do a practice of putting everybody in jail. That is not the answer. That's something that's been going on, and I truly believe in diversion. And I've been dealing with mental illness for the longest time. There's a lot of mental illness out there. We're not going to just shoo you down the street. We're going to get you some help. That's what needs to be done. Get you some help. Thank you.
To our candidate for sheriff, the question is slightly different. Harris County has one of the largest jail populations in the county and the largest in Texas, in the country and the largest in Texas. What are the main factors contributing to jail overcrowding, and what solutions will you pursue if elected? Just so we can diversify who gets to go first, I'm going to ask that Ratliff answers first, and then Wolf, and then I'll send to.
One of the things that, you know, is quite apparent when you have over 10,000 detainees that are in jail waiting for trial. It is an overbearing problem. And one of the things is that when we talk about cite and release, which is also a deterrent to the overcrowdedness of our jails as well, I've done that before they put a name on it. That's a fancy name for it. I've worked in black and brown communities, and I've always been compassionate about, you know, how I deal with offenders. We do have overcriminalization, and we've got to look at that with a more in-depth eye so that we can see what's going on and why these detainees. We've got to work with the courts to move the court system and the process faster. So it's going to take a collaboration, and it's going to take a whole lot of conversation. And I want to say one more thing. You know, we have, last year I looked at 2022, it was over 4,000, over 400,000 people moved to our state. And not every one of them are coming with halos. Okay? So we've got to understand that we're going to have, let's just say 10%, that's 40,000 people that could possibly be a part of our criminal justice system. So it's going to take recruitment, it's going to take a lot of collaboration, and it's certainly going to take some resources, vital resources that needs to be used. One of the problems that we have, that why we have a high population in the jail, is because of the process, the long process that it takes for evidence to be taken, well, processed in the MD's office. They have short staff. Another thing we have going on that's causing overcrowding in the jail is backlog in the judicial system as far as case laws. Some of the things we can do is get with our partners in the county and with the city to see how we can better move things along. The diversion program has also helped us to cut down on the jail population. Right now, I'm working in the downtown courthouse complex. We have a lot of people that come through with small amounts of marijuana. And so, of course, we have to bring them in, detain them temporarily, run it by the DA's office, see if they want to accept charges. Most times, if it's under 4 ounces, we go ahead and we have them go through the diversion program. So what I'm saying is we have different solutions for different problems, just depending on what it is. But we also have to use our partners to make sure that these programs are moved along so that we can keep our jail population down.
I have no idea why cite and release hadn't been come to fruition. 4 years ago, when I was working for the district attorney's office, they were making plans for it. There is a distinct difference between cite and release and diversion. Diversion is working well right now. Cite and release is when you have a Class B, Class A, low-level offense that you cite them and you release them and give them a court date, just like a traffic ticket. On a traffic ticket, you don't go to the Harris County Jail if you don't sign it or you get booked on it. On the cite and release, for example, theft charges, criminal trespassing charges, other low-level charges for Class B, Class A misdemeanors. We should be able to use our discretion as police officers and cite and release, especially if the defendant, the offender, signs and promises to appear, just like in the citation. That will reduce the backlog of criminal cases in the DA's office and reduce the inmate population. So there is a difference between diversion and cite and release, and we need to get cite and release on board so we can help the criminal justice system move along.
Thank you. We're entering our third round of questions, after which, again, we will have questions from the audience. I will ask that you will write as legibly as possible so I don't have to make up what your question was intended to say. This third round will start again with our district attorney. What role do you think public health plays in improving safety for our communities? If reelected, how will you advocate for increased resources for mental health, housing, and healthcare?
So I believe, and it's in my goals and in our priorities for our lawyers, that mental illness is a public health problem, not a public safety problem. And that's why 5 years ago, we worked with all 86 law enforcement chiefs, just like we did on the marijuana diversion program, to take mentally ill, low-level offenders, trespass, criminal mischief, theft. If they have a mental health history, they go now to the Mental Health Authority Respite Center. It's called the Ed Diversion Center. They are not booked, they are treated. It is voluntary, not involuntary. And we've seen more than 10,000 people rerouted, never went to the jail, but instead went out here right by McCallum to the MHMR, which is your old mental retardation authority, now called the Harris Center. So we're doing it. We treated it like public health, not like public safety. And we did not see a spike in public safety by moving those mentally ill, nonviolent offenders out of the system and into the healthcare system.
We're going to go to our county sheriff candidates. Same question. What role do you think public health plays in improving safety for communities? And if elected, how will you advocate for increased resources for mental health, housing, and healthcare? We'll start with Wolf.
So I work in the mental health unit. I was the overseer of the mental health unit for 2.5 years as a sergeant. I saw a lot of people coming in and out that shouldn't have been there. So with the programs that we have in place, like for instance, I said I do work with a Constable office in Precinct 1, in which we come in contact with mental health every day, several times a day. So what we have in place is working. So we identify them as in a mental health crisis. We don't take them to jail. Mental ill is not a crime. Now, in the midst of committing a crime, it just depends on the situation. But they do go to the mental health facilities, and sometimes we have so many instances where sometimes you have to divert to a different facility. We've utilized St. Joseph's, but we have a shortage of places to take them. But right now we're using Bentodd and other places like that to take these people who are in crisis. As sheriff, I will continue the program and expand on it based on working alongside my other law enforcement partners.
Innocent Sue.
I've researched the Harris Health for this venue here, and I can say that since 2018, Harris County has come a long way of putting a conglomeration of entities together, whether it's private entity or the public entities like Sheriff's Department and the DA's office, putting it together and put a good model together. Is it working perfectly? No. No, it's not. But it is a showcase for many around the country. We still have to look at best practices around the country to make sure that we are being on the right road. Mental health diversion is what, like Kim Og said, it's not a public safety issue, it's a public health issue. There are a lot of homeless people out there that commit criminal trespass, theft of food, they're hungry. They shouldn't have to go to the jail because they'll be going back to the jail over and over again. We need to give them diversion. And I think we're doing a satisfactory or better than satisfactory job on doing it. Yes, there is room for improvement. One of the improvements that I would strongly suggest is the classification of mental health inmates coming in upon booking. We got to make sure that they are watched closely by the Texas Commission on Jail Standards. It's every 30 minutes and not every hour, because they are more susceptible to suicides. And if we don't watch them closely like we should, then you'll have another suicide on your hand like the last 67 deaths in Harris County.
And I'm going to piggyback off of everything that everybody else has said, and in addition to saying this, that when you talk about what we would do with sheriff, certainly again, our state puts the least amount of money toward mental health. They put the least amount of money toward mental health. So I'm hoping to be an advocate to run interference and to be an advocate speaking with our legislators, collaborating with our legislators, those people that you're going to vote for on March 5th, 2024, a few more weeks, and advocating with them so that we can go to Austin and demand what we need for mental health resources. It is not a public safety problem. It is a public health problem, and one that everybody is concerned about, and one that every one of us can come in contact with at any given day, moment in time, Lakewood Church. Okay? So what we want to understand, and what we have to understand, is that we've got to do a better job. And again, attitudes and egos, if we can get rid of those, we would do a whole lot of things. We would do a whole lot of things in our state, our country, and in our county. Thank you.
Same question for candidates Phillips, Hicks, and Coleman in that order, please.
As I travel around Precinct 7 down Cully, I look at all the people that's standing in the schools. As I travel down the third ward, I see the same thing. That mental health is real in our communities. And one thing that our offices do, we are part of what they call the core program. We don't have a deputy to handle mental illness issues every day. We don't have the staff. But we have the core program that the deputies on the scene with a mental person, a person who's suffering, has an episode to log in a screen and get that person help without law enforcement intervention at that time. And what's dispatched out are these clinical technicians come to the scene and they observe and make recommendations when it comes to the mental health here in our community here. So I'm not a genius at mental health, but I'm quick to learn. I know about it. I worked the streets a long time. I know about mental health. I know mental health is real in our community. I know that. And we have to work in partnership with the district attorney's office. As a matter of fact, we have one of the largest mental health hospitals in Texas in Precinct 7, right there at McGregor 288. So we have to continue to work with our partnerships, continue to work with our DA's office, our sheriffs, our other constables, law enforcement who operate in our area to handle these mental health issues that occur.
I think as constable, you have to advocate for a mental health squad, specifically for that reason. And it needs to be in plain clothes, because mental health in uniforms, they're scared, they're nervous, they think they're going to go to jail. So you need to put a mental health squad together in plain clothes to help these people. A lot of these people are good people. They just don't take their medicine or don't like the way the medicine makes them feel. So jail shouldn't be an option for them. How about give them help? They need help. This area needs a lot of mental health officers. They really do. You see it every day. Walking down the street, driving down the street. You see it every day. These people need help. So you need a special squad, a special unit to help these people. You really do. Thank you.
I want to let you know. Can you hear me? Okay. I want to let you know I am a mental health specialist. I I do it every single day. When I go to work, I'm dealing with mental illness. Before I get off, I'm dealing with mental illness. And there are hot teams out there that deal with mental illness and kind of give them different programs. Not everybody goes to jail. The most serious people might go to jail who have mental illness. But what happens is a deputy, an officer cannot just deal with a mental illness person and just let them go. They got to make sure that they're not in crisis. They got to make sure that they're not going to hurt themselves or others. We need to be trained how to deal with mental illness. And yes, we wear plain clothes, and we go out there and we take our time and we talk to them. Precinct 7 needs training with officers that can do that.
This completes our third round of questions, and now we are at the point where we will take questions from the audience. Those questions should be submitted by way of index cards to me. If you have those, you can make them available. I will make sure that I get them to the candidates. And give me those while you're collecting. Thank you. First question says to candidate Phillips, and we will extend it to the others as necessary. What are you going to do in the next 4 years that you have not done in your past 18 years as a captain? And the others, the question would be, what will you do if elected in this position?
Well, I want to continue some of the good programs we started in Precinct 7. I want to expand more in our patrol areas because it's something that the Commission's Court has not done good. I reflect it back there. So I have to look outside the box and find out how can I get more patrol services to this community. Whether it's through the TERS, whether it's through the management district, or whether it's through simply trying to get a police grant. I know for a fact is that the commissioners are not going to allow us to have a police department in this precinct. So we're going to find ways to structure it, how to get involved in that. That's one of the ways. Second, I'd like to push for a re-entry program, also to help guys who had issues with the law, in cases were dismissed, to get their records expunged. That's a big key issue for me when it comes to the black and brown community, because at a traffic stop, if an officer stops a young man on a traffic stop, and he comes back and says that man was involved in a robbery case, the whole dynamics of that traffic stop changes. Did y'all know that? The whole dynamics change. So by that changing dynamics, if that record's not there, then it'll be just a standardized traffic stop. So that's one of the things I look at, some of my pet peeves I like to look into as we travel forward with Constable Phillips. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Well, me working Precinct 5 for 30 years, it's so different. Just the little things. You got vacation money. What is that? You go on vacation. You call us. We take the information down. We check the resident once a day on each shift. Older citizens that live in Precinct 5. You have a citizen check. You check on your older citizens twice a week. These are the officers. These are for the citizens who live in the area. Tell me why we can't bring them here. You know, it's a lot of things you can bring. You need more patrol. How about go after every grant that's available, state, federal, that put officers at your department? Again, it's lopsided. Precinct 4, Precinct 5, 500 plus. Precinct 7, 130 some officers. There's something's wrong with that picture. We have to do something different.
I think first thing we need to do is, as a new constable, I would evaluate the office the first 30 days, see where we're going, then evaluate it in another 60 days, and then the next 90 days, we can meet the constable. We don't see the constable. We don't see the captain. So we need to go out there and get in the community And so they're doing something. And we need to train. We need training out there, like I've been training for the past close to 40 years as an officer. Training is the key. And you also need to start, you got officers, you got the officers' qualification. You show me. First, you need to fill the job with the openings you got. Then work on getting more officers. Let's get the fill those vacant slots, get out there and do some work and train.
We have a lot of very good questions, so I will ask that if you can answer in a concise and even more succinct manner, that you would do so, just so we can get to as many questions as possible. To our sheriff candidates, crime is out of control in Harris County. What will you do to make Harris County safer? I will couple it with a second question. How will you handle jail and custody deaths?
So like I said, as a deputy, I was on the proactive side when I was in the community. So we brought out programs, proactive programs, neighborhood watch. We went into the schools because a lot of times on the east side, a lot of times the kids' first interaction with an officer is mostly negative. Their family member may be going to jail. It wasn't positive. So as an officer, we brought programs to the east side. They said, McNair and Bear said they didn't have anybody that looked like them. So we brought things to the community. Also, we need to bring transparency. There's no transparency. You don't see Ed Gonzalez out in the community. I walk and talk with people in the community. They didn't even know who the sheriff was, a lot of them did not know. Back in the day, when we had another sheriff, I'm just gonna not his name, but he went into the neighborhoods. He did the National Night Out, the CPA, which is the Citizens Police Academy, bring those type of programs back to the community so that we also have additional eyes to help us when we are out there trying to patrol and get crime under control. We can't do it alone. As you know, we are outgunned. We are outgunned. And like I said before, that's a good reason why we all need to exercise our right to vote so that things like that is not as prevalent and going on like it is right now. Thank you.
One of the things that was said is, or one of the things that I want to expound upon. Right now, Mayor Whitmire is collaborating a lot of agencies together, and I do believe in collaboration. Because if anybody in law enforcement will tell you right now, we are understaffed. We are hurting. Nobody's running to be a police officer these days. They're running from the police. They're not running to us. And so it's going to take a vital effort for us for recruitment. One of the problems in the jail is staffing. So knowing that that is a problem, I do, and we believe that there are ways that we can restaff the jail, and much of that may be looking at the resources and repositioning our resources. And that is what I am to do. One of the things, should I be scared?
There's a lot of guns in here, so I didn't see anybody moving.
You say I'm a believer, right? But since we're in the church house, I was talking about another kind of spirit. You know what I mean? But anyway, so I just want to elaborate on that. But for sure, allocating resources, reallocating resources, and when we talk about mitigating those deaths, I did talk about. Any sheriff that says that there will never be another death in the jail is lying to you. You cannot say that people with underlying health conditions that come into our jail, they come in with all kinds of health conditions. But what we can say is that we will do our best to mitigate those deaths, especially those that are caused by abuse, right, or drugs, or things like that. We have got to. We will look at those kinds of issues.
I got a minute and a half to do two different topics. One of them is public safety, the other one is jail deaths. So keep up with me. Jail deaths. This experiment to have civilians with 4 to 5 weeks of training to man the jail has failed. It has cost us a lot more money than saving money. We're spending $50 million of outsourced inmates out of state, Mississippi and Louisiana. It has failed. We need to reintroduce sheriff's deputies with 7 to 8 months of experience back into the jail. When I was a sheriff's deputy in 1980, we had control of the jail. Number 2 is public safety. Would it be ludicrous if Mayor Whitmire says, I'm going to divide the Houston Police Department into 9 different departments, 9 different police chiefs, working independently and not sharing resources under the same government? And would that be crazy? Well, that's how your Harris County law enforcement operates, with the 8 constables and the sheriff. We have got to work together. We have got to be working as a team and not in competition with each other. We have to have buy-in and consensus with the constable and share all the resources that the county gives us, including the Sheriff's Academy. But right now, the cadets of the constables are not even allowed in the Sheriff's Academy. That is BS. That's a county resource. The constable should have cadet classes with their cadet constables, just like the Sheriff's Department. I will change the name from the Harris County Sheriff's Academy to the Harris County Law Enforcement Academy. Thank you.
Mr. Attorney Ogg, if re-elected, will you commit to dismissing low-level nonviolent offenses to alleviate jail overcrowding? People are dying.
I will not commit without review. We currently dismiss many low-level misdemeanors after review. But let me say, we have an oath and an obligation to get the evidence reviewed. You do not just disregard your oath to the law because the cases are delayed. What you do is you triage, and that's what we've done. So our most serious violent offenders, those are the cases we push forward. The least violent offenders, that's who we offer diversion. So we get all the time on, well, you got a real high dismissal rate. Well, that's because we dismiss a lot of pretrial diversion cases who successfully complete their diversion program. And the other part that we dismiss, they got convicted in another case or count. So you can't have it both ways. You got to have a high dismissal rate if you're going to actually prioritize. So we do that for you. But what I will never commit to do is simply dismiss things because they got too old. What would I tell the domestic violence victim whose case was 10 months old? Sorry, Charlie, they didn't get to your case in time. What would I tell the murder victim or let's say the theft, the fraud victim whose case was older than a year and a half? Too bad you don't get any restitution. So yes, we do it, but with review.
Thank you. To our candidates for Constable, what are the plans for assigning more police officers in your patrol regions, and can citizens expect more patrol from your department in the future?
So I go again. Well, my plans, I said earlier, is to engage in the management district and the turrets that operate in our community. We started a turrets and management district in Southeast Houston, which hires five officers that are paid for not by the citizens and taxpayers, it's paid by the businesses in that district that employ these 5 officers. Secondly, right now we have about 4 task forces that operate in our community. We have the FBI task force, we have the Viper Squad, we have the DEA task force, and the TABC task force. Attach me to those task force in order to bring those resources from the government, from the federal government, and from the county to precinct 7. If you got a man at that table at the task force, that task force will come to your community.
Bring resources, go after grants. But you apply to every grant. Every grant only comes with officers 1, 2, maybe 3. Now, a lot of people don't think about the contract program. There are subdivisions in Precinct 7 that can't afford the contract program. There's a lot of them. They just won't apply to it, but you can. There's a 70-30. The subdivision pays 10%, Harris County pay 30%. What that is. You can't do 100% law enforcement because even the contracts that don't have or not part of the contract, you still have to go make that emergency phone call. So they still benefit from it. It's not as expensive as most people think. You can co-op. That means split an officer. So there's ways so you can afford it. Some people pay $15 a month. So you bring more contracts and you'll get more officers also. Thank you.
Yes, it's good to have these contracts. Yes, it's good to buy in. Let's first fill the slots that we have. Fill the slots that we have. Get those officers out there and they need to be trained to do their job. Not just go out there and sit next to each other and talk about it, but go out there and work. I see officers, and I've been saying this for years, what they do, they go outside, they park next to each other and talk, and they don't do their job. So let's fill our position and get out there and supervise it and make sure these people are working. Fill the slots.
To our sheriff's candidates, to each of you, it should be a general question. Do you plan to make any changes to the department? And if so, what are they? We'll start with Innocentia.
Yes, I am going to make changes to the sheriff's department, starting with the upper echelon, the command staff. Cut out the fluff. Cut out the fluff and put back those positions back in the jail. Right now, there's 11 majors in the Harris County Sheriff's Department upper echelon. 11 majors. Most of them come from Houston PD, friends of the sheriff. There is one major over one captain. There are 3 majors over 2 captains. Basic 101 organizational leadership will tell you that span of control is 1 to 6, 1 to 7, maybe 1 to 8. Not 1 to 1. What is he micromanaging his one captain? That has to stop. Then there's fluff along all the divisions. Sometimes you have to make tough choices. Sometimes you have to make tough choices and cut out the fluff, the luxury positions. We've got to man the jail. We've got to put positions back into the jail. There was 512 jailers that quit last year because of the hazardous working conditions. We have to change that. And the first thing is cutting out the fluff and putting those positions back into the jail.
The Texas State Constitution says that the first priority of the sheriff is the jail. And so when we do talk about the jail and all of these issues that it's having right now, the jail is the main priority. That is the sheriff's main priority, care and control and custody of those detainees that are there. So when we talk about the changes that need to be made, when we look that we have not passed a jail standard in the last 7 to 8 years, or we never passed, we've got to do better. So when we talk about resources, the allocation of resources back into our jail. Also, when I talk about staffing, we're all hurting for law enforcement officers. We've got to look at our retention level, retaining those sheriffs, as well as hiring sheriffs. We have to look at our budget. We have to look at detention officers. And is that still the best idea, or is moving our sheriff deputies in for a short period of time to get care and custody and control of the jail? Also, when we talk about public safety, when we talk about crime analysis and looking at our crime patterns, I mean, we have ways to look at our crime patterns. We have ways to look at things. And I want to be a more proactive sheriff. And when I use the word intentionality, that is what that means. When we're looking at proactive measures, we're looking at the intentionality and hold our supervisors accountable.
Thank you.
Holding our supervisors accountable.
Yes. What changes do you plan to make if elected as sheriff to the department?
First and foremost,
one of the things that needs to happen at the sheriff's office, because I was started in 1991, I left in 2018. I was a sergeant. I took a pay cut. I took a pay cut because it was terrible. The morale was horrible. The environment is not safe. We had a sergeant raped in the Harris County Jail a couple of years ago. She worked in the same offices that I worked in. Now, if your employees are not safe, you can best rest assured that your family members are not safe. So first of all, we need to get that morale up. They need to see the command staff. That's what I grew up on. I saw my share. I saw the chief. We only had maybe one or two. It's what my opponent said. There is a high level. It's too many. They're too high. They have too many people high up that's taken away from benefits for the lower employees. They need to be seen. We need to clean it up. We need to clean the jail up. That's why your contraband is coming in. That's how you have all these jail deaths. I can put my eye on the problem and assist and address the problem. I don't have to bring in that high level authority and pay them thousands or whatever it is it takes to clean up the jail. I used to have to be, I was held accountable for doing that. So that's what I would bring to the table.
Thank you. Gorgeous attorney, how do you plan to address the revolving door of violent criminals being released into the community?
The reason we have a revolving door is the bail issue. Bail issue is unpopular to deal with because people think that cash bail is wealth-based. What I would tell you is that for decades, cash bail has been the way that individuals' appearance in court was secured. When people started being released on low bail or insufficient bail, when they committed new crimes and they got another personal recognizance bond, it shook the public's faith in our judicial system because it doesn't make sense that people who would commit crimes over and over are being re-released. We oppose that as prosecutors because it's dangerous for you. And so that has been a large part of what my opponent has promised. No cash bail. So what that means is people would walk out of jail with no security down to reappear. Now, do you think murderers are going to reappear? They don't, just so you know. And so this is the cause of the revolving door. The other problem is really that there just aren't enough deputies, police officers, prosecutors to make our system go faster. And the delay in the evidence is causing problems with the jail and with the backlog. Sorry. She said stop. So I'm stopping.
Thank you. Okay. All right, to our constable candidates, many Hispanics are well established in Precinct 7. How can you get more Hispanics to engage with law enforcement without being afraid to speak up? And we'll start with Cole.
Community policing. Instead of just stopping for when something's wrong, just stop and talk to them as an individual. That's called community policing. Just go up and down the streets and just have a conversation. And you should not just do it with Hispanics. You should do it with everybody in the community. That is called community policing. You don't have to have a law enforcement interaction to stop and have a conversation with somebody. If you do that more often, they will appreciate it. We have to go back to serving the community. I think as police officers, as supervisors, as constables, we don't do that enough. This is our community, and we're here to serve you, but we forget it.
One of the first things we need to do, I truly believe in community policing, but we need to go in the area where they're at and speak with them. We need to
hard for Hispanic and Latino people to work in there. And once they get inside the organization, they can go out there and tell people, hey, this is what you need to do. The best way to get in that community, you need to hire more and go to their churches, go to their events, go out there to them, get out of that office. Get out of that office, go amongst them. Once you go amongst them and let them know, because I went out there and I talked to a lot of them, and they didn't realize that they could be officers. They didn't realize that they could be anything other than they were. But we need to go out there, go to the schools, not just the colleges, but the elementaries, and make ourselves available. Once we be available, and also hire more Hispanic officers who can tell their brothers and sisters, hey, come join me so I can help. That's the reason why I'm where I am. I want to help my people. So they can see what I'm doing and they can do.
Thank you.
One thing I did when I started Victim Service Unit was to make sure every piece of literature that came out of our office was in Spanish. That's how we connected to the Spanish community, because they didn't understand some English literature we put down. So I said, hey, maybe we put it in Spanish and they can understand it better, connect better with our office. Secondly, as I was riding around like maybe 2 years ago, there's a full Hispanic community in Precinct 7 off of Macau Road. So I went to the community and talked to who are the community leaders. I talked to Commissioner Adrian Garcia and said, Adrian, how can we help mend the difference between my precinct and the communities of Hispanic in our community? So he bought into the program, Constable Garcia bought into it, Constable Trevino bought into it to help us bridge the gap between nearly African American law enforcement agencies to that Hispanic community. They work.
Thank you all. To our sheriff candidates. There has been a surge in fraud and scam cases within Harris County. However, it has become more difficult for civilians to be able to get criminal reports filed or investigated due to local enforcement denying to file or bureaucratic burdens placed on civilians. How will you ensure adequate prioritization of these types of cases so that justice is served to those victims of fraud and scams? District Attorney or Harris County, either of you, I think it kind of crosses over.
Real quick, there is a lot of fraud. It is the most common crime, especially committed against older Americans. That would be us. Let me just say, beware of your emails, beware of who comes to your door, calls you on the phone, trying to put you under pressure for money. We have a whole consumer fraud division. 4 lawyers assigned to do nothing but try and catch and prosecute fraudsters. We rely on these folks to investigate those cases. They don't have enough cops. Period, over and out. That's why we're all fighting for more resources to protect you.
Yeah, that's one.
When I was with the district attorney's office, I was the assistant chief investigator over the fraud division. I was over the investigators. And I can tell you this, one of the things that we really did help out with the Hispanic community was the day laborers when they were getting ripped off by these owners of companies that would go pick them up at Home Depot and then use them as a day labor and then drop them off at a stop and go and says, I'll come back and get your money and never show up. That is one of the big things about the Hispanic community and trust. Under Kim, we prosecuted a lot of them. We had an investigator and a assistant district attorney that did nothing but this. And they were really appreciated. The other thing is just public service announcements, using social media to warn the Hispanic community or just the older community about fraud. We've got to make them aware that there's never free money out there. There's never free items, free merchandise. So it has to be a public relations, public service initiative to bring this awareness to these folks.
Okay. To our constables, there was a question with regard to the training that Constable Precinct 7 officers have. Why is Precinct 7 Constable office, why does the office have poor training is the question. If you want to address that one, I will couple it with this one so that we can try and get as many as possible. Why are so many convenience stores inaccessible? Because of drug dealers hanging out all day along with homeless people in our community.
You know, I take that kind of personal when I say about guys in trouble. We have a training academy at our office. With training instructors, master police officers, and other guys. And myself, I'm a training instructor. But I want to say one thing about this too, about a comment with Mr. Hickson. And I don't get out in the community. The community knows me because I get out in the community. Everybody, when the seniors need help, I go to the senior house. When the senior has any issue, when we talk about senior safety, for the last 2 years, I have done senior safety programs about telemarketing, about scams, different things that happen. But we do have training at our stations. We have a turnover because of the other agencies offer $10,000 more money to sign up. The ISPs are offering $20,000 more money based on a deputy salary from Harris County. We can't up the salaries, it's up to the commission's court to up the salaries. But for HISD coming in, a spring ISD offers $20,000 more money for one of our deputies. What do you think that deputy's gonna do? He's gonna leave us. So we're working on trying to fill spots. We train guys. I even ride myself to train guys with my knowledge of law enforcement. My 40 years of law enforcement, I train guys to know out there what to do and what to look out for. So the training bit is a bunch of stuff. So I'll pass.
I appreciate your training, Constable, Captain Phillips. Yeah, you said it right. The training that you're getting in these divisions is not the same training that you're getting on the streets. We get training when we have to do recurring training to keep our certificates. The training that we need is how to approach a car, how to deal with people, how to fight crime. And I understand you said it, what I said about you. Yes, it's nice to see you in uniform right now. But we don't need to just go out there and tell them I'm Gary Hicks or I'm Constable Captain Phillips, and this is my number. We need officers to get out there and work. That's what we say, get out there. Not be personal, but be police officers. Stop telling somebody, I can help you. I can't help you. My organization is going to help you. As an organization, Precinct 7 is going to work with you. So, I hope I didn't offend you, but we don't need to be just one person. We need to be an organization.
Well, TICO actually mandate all the training for police officers. Some get trained more than others, and I'm a big advocate on education and training. That's up to them also to get the training and the knowledge as an individual. The officers want to be better, you go through more training. So I don't know the extent that Precinct 7 officers are trained, but I can say it's mandated by TICO. And everybody normally has a certain amount of hours they have to do per year. But I'm open to any officer taking more training to help to better themselves and also their education.
Thank you. And TCO is the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, for those who may wondered. District Attorney, a couple two questions. The first question is, does the intake process need improvement? If so, how do you intend to improve it? The second is, will you record and release VA intake calls with the police for transparency and to uphold the defendant's Sixth Amendment rights?
So the lady here in a pink sweater, who's a friend and a past voter for me, suggested I clear this up. Our intake division operates 24/7, 365 days a year. That's a huge benefit to the public safety of the community because it means when they arrest somebody, they can arrest them, they can take them to jail, but they get a review of the charge first. Now, the Chronicle said we give them bad charges. Let me tell you who reviews charges ultimately. Judges. So the judges always were the ones who made the decision about was there sufficient probable cause or not. Ours is simply an extra review so that the person can be taken into custody then, if it benefits public safety. So the improvements to intake would be, we made it a full-time job. My opponent wants to send it back to his old friends who no longer work in the office and want to come back and want to work these jobs part-time. I don't see a benefit, one, for you in the community of having a bunch of people work part-time giving different opinions, when what we did is professionalize the division by making it full-time jobs of lawyers who do nothing but review the cases. So it's an extra layer of protection for the accused, which the Chronicle didn't tell you about, and it's an extra layer of protection for you, the community, because it allows them to arrest right then.
Thank you. We have two questions that are on mental health. We did address this briefly earlier in the first rounds, but I will ask our sheriff candidates, what would a mental health task force look like, and how would you incorporate licensed mental health professionals? Secondly, how can law enforcement aid in mental health scenarios to protect citizens from wrongful arrest?
One of the things that is already existing in Harris County Sheriff's Office is that when a call is dispatched and it appears to have a mental health crisis issue with it, there are mental health individuals that go along with officers and that are dispatched to assess that situation. And that is something that has been implemented, I think, in the last 2 years or so, and is going very well, and it does help. And so a continuation of that effort is going to be apparent and has to be just something that is apparent and needs to be there. But the other thing is that when we talk about mental health, we definitely need to continue encouraging training to all of our deputies in the mental health category so that they are able to identify. Of course, they may not have all the answers, but they are able to deal with those individuals on a level that is comfortable enough until we get with other agencies who are more prone to understand what crises these individuals are in at the time that we encounter them. So certainly we want to work with the other organizations as well. And one of the things that churches have been doing, and I know Wilder did it, they had some individuals to come by and talk about different phases of coping. Because one thing that I can say, we cannot do this alone. The community can stand on the one side of the street, the law enforcement on the other. We've got to have their help. And we need each of you and every one of you to be a part of our team to make this a safer city and a safer place for all of us to live, work, and go to school.
Thank you so much. Senator Wolf.
So they have a 13 that's been implemented. It's been implemented for, I want to say, up to 10 years. Not sure the number on that. I am a mental health specialist, but let's go back to the 13. The 13, they do have a deputy and a clinician. When they know they have a call that require mental health services, so that is somewhat in place right now, was in place right now. What the problem is that they're cutting back on mental health. They're closing facilities like St. Joe's. That was a go-to place that we utilized to take these individuals who are in crisis. They're continuously shutting down and taking away monies from those facilities. So it's lessening what we have to work with. But what we can do as partners, be the best partner we can be, is to work alongside the community, teaching them how to be able to identify people in their family. That's one way you can help. I am a person who has more than one family member that does suffer from mental health. Sometimes when you educate yourself, that helps us to better help you. So those are some things that we implemented, things that they have in place, and to expound on the programs that are already there.
Thank you. I'm in a precarious predicament now because I'm being told that we want to wrap up, and I know your question didn't get asked. I apologize for the time constraints. Will you help me give thanks to our timekeepers? Thank you, all of our candidates for sheriff. So each of these for giving up their time. Thank you, candidates for sheriff. Thank you to our DA, and thank you to these candidates for constable. Thank you to all of our hosts. And if there are any last words.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Joy Malbrough, President of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Incorporated, Houston Metropolitan Chapter. And on behalf of the organizing team, would like to extend our sincere gratitude for each of you taking your time to attend and contribute to tonight's forum. Your presence added a level of value and depth that cannot be overstated. A special word of thanks to Pastor Booker and the Greater St. Matthew Baptist Church for allowing us to use the gymnasium this evening. To Moderator Johnson for expertly guiding the conversation. Thank you to our candidates for sharing your passions by way of your platforms. We wish you much success and look forward to witnessing that passion in action for years to come. To our vendors, your participation greatly enriched this evening's experience. We thank you. Lastly, to our event organizers, Mrs. Dorothy Wagner, owner of the legendary Acres Homes Barber College, Sister Shantae Decker, Chair of Public Policy for the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Incorporated, Houston Metropolitan Chapter, and Tangi Smith, Founder and Executive Director of the Texas Federation of the People Foundation. Thank you for your vision and your continued commitment to excellence in our communities. As you prepare to depart, please visit our vendors, network, and meet with our candidates. We look forward to collaborating with you again in the future.
One final announcement. Thank you, sister. That was so well done. I want to thank this preacher who did an excellent moderating job, and the candidates. All of you guys are excellent. Most of you are my friends. But we got one more announcement. I know that your signs are out, and that's good for tonight because it shows who's running for who. But we're going to ask that you have the signs removed from the church grounds before you leave. Is that all right? All right, let me close with a prayer. Lord, we thank you for these candidates. We thank you for each one in this place. Oh God, without you, we can do nothing. Have your way with us, oh God, as we leave this place. Grant us traveling grace, Father. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. You're now dismissed.
Thank you, sir.